There is a subtle interplay of energies between people, something that transcends words and conscious gestures. When we enter a space and feel an inexplicable pull towards someone, or when someone seems magnetically drawn to us for no apparent reason, we are witnessing the deep forces of the human psyche in action. This personal magnetism isn't the result of conscious strategies or seduction techniques. It emanates from the deepest layers of our personality, often from aspects we ourselves are unaware of or don't fully recognize. Modern psychology reveals that much of our communication happens non-verbally, through signals we emit involuntarily, and that others pick up on just as unconsciously. When we wonder why we attract certain types of people, whether in romance, work, or social life, we rarely consider the role of our own psyche in this process. We tend to believe that others choose us, when in reality there's a silent dialogue between our unconscious and theirs, a dance of signals and symbols that precedes any conscious interaction. Human attractiveness goes far beyond physical appearance or deliberate behavior. It arises from deep authenticity, from an alignment between who we are inside and how we express ourselves in the world. Paradoxically, the less we consciously try to attract others, the more naturally our true personal magnetism shines through. In calm. This video will explore the unconscious patterns that define your connections and how you can align your energy to create deeper, more meaningful relationships. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss this dive into the visible psychology of human relationships. True connection begins where words end. One of the fundamental principles of depth psychology is that we don't see people as they truly are, but as we are. We constantly project aspects of our psyche onto others, especially those elements we don't recognize or accept in ourselves. This dynamic of projection is central to how we attract people into our lives. When an unrecognized aspect of our personality, whether an undeveloped strength or a repressed trait, finds expression in someone else, we feel an immediate fascination. It's as if something within us is being mirrored externally, calling for our attention. Similarly, others are drawn to us when we embody qualities they haven't acknowledged or developed in themselves. This dynamic explains why we often find ourselves in repetitive relationship patterns. The woman who consistently attracts controlling partners may be projecting her own unrecognized desire for power. The man who feels irresistibly drawn to emotionally distant people may be projecting his own difficulty, expressing vulnerability. Positive projections create attraction, while negative ones breed repulsion. Interestingly, we're often most intensely repelled by people who embody traits we strongly suppress in ourselves. Disproportionate irritation towards someone usually signals that we're confronting a denied aspect of our own personality. To transform the patterns of who we attract, we must first recognize these projections. When we become aware of what we project onto others, we gain the opportunity to consciously integrate these traits, enriching our personality and reshaping the quality of our relationships. Our bodies are always speaking, even when our mouths are closed. According to social psychology studies, over 60% of communication happens through nonverbal channels: posture, gestures, facial expressions, tone of voice, even breathing patterns. This communication occurs mostly beneath conscious awareness. When we're truly comfortable with who we are, our bodies transmit signals of confidence and openness. Upright yet relaxed posture, fluid movements, balanced eye contact, steady and deep breathing. These signals are universally interpreted as markers of authenticity and self-assurance, highly attractive qualities from a psychological standpoint. Conversely, when we try to project an image that doesn't match our inner state, we create a dissonance that others unconsciously detect. Someone might wear expensive clothes and adopt a seemingly confident stance, but if they're insecure inside, subtle microsignals, a tense jaw, shallow breathing, restless fidgeting, will betray their true emotional state. This ability to read nonverbal cues is an evolutionary skill deeply ingrained in our species, once helping us identify trustworthy allies and potential threats. Today, the same ability operates in everyday social interactions, influencing whom we trust, find attractive, or prefer to avoid. Genuine personal magnetism emerges when there's alignment between our inner state and outer expression, when what we feel, think, and non-verbally communicate are in harmony. This congruence radiates authenticity, attracting others far more powerfully than any conscious seduction technique ever could. One of the most fascinating phenomena in interpersonal psychology is emotional contagion, our tendency to absorb and reflect the emotional states of those around us. There's a natural synchrony between humans, an innate ability to resonate with another's emotional field. People who fully inhabit their emotional states, without repression or exaggeration, create an aura of authentic affect that acts like a magnet. When someone can experience genuine joy, appropriate sadness, justified anger, or open love, without needing to hide or dramatize these feelings, they transmit a sense of emotional freedom that paradoxically makes others feel safe. This effective resonance explains why some individuals seem to fill a room with their presence. It's not just their outward expression, but the intensity and authenticity of their inner state that communicates and influences the emotional atmosphere. Like a musical note that vibrates the strings of nearby instruments, an emotionally resonant person activates something in others. Interestingly, studies show humans are most drawn to those whose emotional states represent growth possibilities. For themselves, someone who habitually suppresses joy may feel irresistibly pulled toward a naturally exuberant person. A highly cerebral individual might be fascinated by someone who lives fully in their body and emotions. This attraction to complementary emotional traits isn't accidental. It reflects the psyche's quest for wholeness and expansion. We attract those who embody emotional qualities we intuitively recognize as necessary for our own development. A revealing principle of depth psychology is that we tend to recreate in adulthood the relational patterns we experienced in childhood, not because they were necessarily healthy or fulfilling, but because they're familiar, what our psyche already knows how to navigate. This phenomenon, sometimes called repetition compulsion, explains why many people keep attracting partners who replicate problematic dynamics from early relationships. The woman raised by an emotionally distant father may feel strangely drawn to unavailable men. The man with a controlling mother may unconsciously gravitate towards suffocating relationships. These attractions aren't conscious choices, but automatic responses based on deep imprints from early bonds. Our brains develop neural circuits tied to these childhood patterns, and these circuits activate when we encounter people or situations echoing those experiences. Paradoxically, even painful patterns are reenacted because they offer the illusion of resolving old wounds. The unconscious mind seeks similar situations to unresolved traumas, hoping for a different outcome. To transform who and what we attract, we must develop awareness of these automatic patterns. When we recognize that certain attractions stem from old familiar templates, we gain the freedom to make more conscious choices, based not just on what's familiar, but on what truly nurtures and supports our growth. Modern science is just beginning to understand what ancient spiritual traditions long recognized. Humans exist not just as discrete physical entities, but as interacting energy fields. Our nervous system, biochemical processes, and even brain activity generate fields extending beyond our physical bodies. When we interact with others, it's not just our appearance, words, or behaviors that communicate. Our energy fields literally meet and exchange information. Recent neurophysiology research shows that when two people sync up, their heartbeats, breathing, and even brain waves begin to align in a process called entrainment. This energetic communication explains common experiences like sensing someone's presence before seeing them enter a room, or the immediate comfort or discomfort we feel with certain people before any substantive interaction. Our bodies are literally reading the other's energetic information, the inner state we cultivate, not just momentary emotions, but our habitual life orientation, creates a specific energy field around us. People who maintain openness, curiosity, and presence tend to generate inviting fields, while fear, judgment, or rigidity create patterns that naturally repel. This insight offers a profound perspective on personal magnetism. What we attract isn't primarily determined by what we do, but by what we are. the energy we habitually emit. Consciously working with our energy through meditation, self-awareness, and self-compassion can deeply transform the field we create, and thus who and what we attract. Some meetings in life seem to transcend mere chance, connections with people who appear just when we need them, bringing exactly the message or opportunity required for our growth. Jungian psychology calls these events synchronicities, meaningful, coincidences unexplainable by cause and effect alone. Synchronicities aren't supernatural, but manifestations of deeper patterns linking our individual psyche with the broader field of reality. When we're internally aligned, when our outer actions match our inner truths, we create conditions for these meaningful connections to occur more frequently. This phenomenon explains why, at certain life stages, we seem to attract precisely the people and situations we need for growth. It's not that the universe magically responds to our wishes, but that inner clarity and alignment allow us to recognize and seize opportunities that would otherwise go unnoticed. Synchronicities remind us that attraction operates beyond the purely personal. Often, our deepest connections aren't based just on personal preferences or surface compatibility, but on a mutual recognition that something meaningful is to be learned or created through the encounter. This deeper level of attraction can't be manipulated. It emerges naturally when we commit authentically to our own growth. The more consciously we inhabit our lives, the more we attract people and experiences resonating with our genuine path. One of attraction's deepest paradoxes is that the harder we try to make others want us, the less attractive we become. Conscious efforts to impress, seduce, or manipulate others' perceptions often backfire. When we overthink how we're perceived, we enter an anxious self-consciousness that disrupts authentic presence. This tension manifests in subtle signals of artificiality and incongruence that others' nervous systems immediately detect. True personal magnetism emerges, paradoxically, when we stop worrying about the impression we make. When we're fully absorbed in the present moment, genuinely engaged in what we're doing or who we're with, we naturally radiate a presence that's deeply attractive. This state of unself-conscious engagement, what psychologists call flow, is marked by freedom, spontaneity, and joy. Here we're not thinking about how we appear or what effect we're having, we're simply being. And it's this quality of being that magnetically draws others. This paradox reveals a fundamental truth. We don't attract others by pretending to be someone we're not, but by being fully ourselves when we're not trying to attract anyone. Our authenticity, the ability to be true to ourselves in each moment, is the most powerful magnet for genuine connection. Understanding the unconscious forces shaping attraction doesn't mean we should become passive in relationships. Instead, it invites us into a more conscious dance between deliberate intention and natural flow, between what we can control and what emerges spontaneously. We can consciously cultivate qualities like presence, authenticity, self-compassion, and emotional openness, not as manipulation tactics but as genuine expressions of personal growth. These qualities naturally enhance our magnetism as a byproduct of inner development. At the same time, we can respect the mystery and intelligence of the unconscious. Not everything in human attraction can or should be rationally controlled. There's wisdom in spontaneous attractions, even and especially when they surprise us or challenge our conscious expectations. An integrated approach to attraction honors both our capacity for conscious choice and the wisdom of our deeper impulses. It's not about manipulating who we attract, but about creating inner conditions for authentic, nourishing connections to flourish naturally. When we cultivate honesty with ourselves, when we embrace both our light and shadow, we create a field of authenticity around us. This field won't attract everyone, but it will draw those who resonate with who we truly are, not who we pretend to be. Our relational life is an accurate mirror of our inner state. The people we attract, whether romantic partners, friends, colleagues, or even adversaries, reflect with remarkable precision the aspects of ourselves we're expressing, consciously or not. This understanding presents both a challenge and an opportunity. The challenge is accepting responsibility for our relational patterns. recognizing we're not passive victims, but active co-creators of our dynamics. The opportunity lies in transformation. If who we attract reflects who we are, then by changing ourselves, we naturally transform who enters our lives. This transformation happens primarily through inner work, not external techniques. Depth psychology teaches that as we bring unconscious patterns to light, integrate our shadows and heal inner wounds, we begin attracting people and situations reflecting this new state of integration. The path to healthier, more nourishing relationships necessarily passes through self-knowledge and self-acceptance. When we reconcile with our own complexities, when we learn to embrace our wholeness, we naturally attract those capable of seeing and loving us in our authenticity. This journey isn't linear or always comfortable. Confronting deep unconscious patterns often stirs resistance. Yet it's precisely through this courageous inner work that we break free from dysfunctional cycles and open space for more authentic connections. The real magic of attraction lies not in techniques to make others desire us, but in the alchemical transformation that occurs when we commit to our own truth. As we become more fully ourselves, we naturally attract those who resonate with our authentic frequency, not as a strategy, but as the natural consequence of our own flourishing.